What is going on, everyone? It's your guy, Cole Jackson, back here on Road Graders, brought to you today on the Russell Street Report. And we are going to be continuing our series sponsored by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, our draft series breakdown, where we're looking at every draft pick the Baltimore Ravens made, doing a film breakdown, getting into what to expect from these guys. And we keep moving into the Ravens' fourth round. We are now beyond day two. We're into day three. It's flying. Week two, already there. We're diving into TEDDYE Buchanan, the linebacker out of the University of California by way of UC Davis. Spent 4 years at UC Davis before transferring to Cal for last season. Before we dive into it, again, big thank you to Jimmy's for sponsoring. And Jimmy's Famous Seafood is proud to team up with the Western Golf Association and Evans Scholar Foundation to present the Tail Goat driven by the BMW Championship, featuring OAR, the band which has served as a soundtrack to Jimmy's for 29 years. Finally comes home this summer, and you guys can get in on it. Go check it out for tickets. You guys know the Tailgoat. If you know Baltimore Ravens football, you know it's a good time. Go check that out and get involved, and you get to see OAR. You can't beat that. So before we dive into it, be sure to hit that like button for me. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Before we break down the film, let's take a look at some of the intangibles here. Looking at the relative athletic score of TEDDYE Buchanan, you can see what the Ravens are looking for here. You have a very solidly built guy, a guy that came in at 6'2", 233 at the combine. I've seen him called undersized, honestly, in today's NFL. And keep in mind, the relative athletic score database goes back to 1989, if I remember correctly. So it's still factoring in the old school style. 6'2", 233. That's not that small anymore. That's pretty standard size. So I wouldn't even call him undersized. I call him pretty much the prototypical size. That's just how big guys are. Solid bench press. You'll see that tonight. He's an athlete, and he pretty much checked all those boxes. 4.6 40, came up in the upper echelon. You'll see his 10-yard, 20-yard split being a little bit lower, but overall very solid 40 time. And really where he upped his RAS was with his vertical and his broad, which were both up in the 90th percentile of his peers. So just an explosive. I talk about that quite a bit throughout, just with his explosive athleticism and how that's led him to make plays, multiple forced fumbles, and almost a couple forced interceptions, just with his drive on the ball and how quickly he gets there. You can tell it really throws the running backs and quarterbacks off as they're, getting the ball ready as a handler. And that really speaks to his explosive athleticism. When we jump into the stats, really what stands out to me here is coverage stops, tied for 11th in the NCAA last year with 20 coverage stops. I'm assuming that's among linebackers. Yeah, it is among linebackers with 300 snaps. So right up there, which is exactly what Ravens fans want to see. That was probably one of the biggest need. Only allowed a 56.3 completion percentage, tied for 21st. 2 forced incompletions, so a lot of that is just coming off good coverage and not necessarily PBUs and that sort of thing. No touchdowns allowed, no interceptions, so he didn't get any playmaker plays on the ball. That's a terrible line. It's late on Sunday. So but a pretty solid passer rating allowed as well too. One thing to point out in his snaps by alignment in the bottom left corner here, just did play some D-line snaps. I wouldn't say he really projects at that next level, but you'll notice in some of his coverage snaps, a lot of these D-line alignments are him kind of lining up on tight ends or down in the as like a wide alignment as it on the D line to cover running backs. So you'll see that a little bit. So overall, you can see why they got him. I really think his path to success here, and I'll talk about this a little bit in the breakdown at the end, is, a special teamer right away with some of that pass coverage upside. And really what I see is they need to replace Chris Board, who played that role last year, who won't be back. They want to get Trenton Simpson, obviously, into that starting will spot to capitalize on that early round investment, that third round investment. So that's going to be plan A, is having Trent Simpson beside Roquan Smith, but they wanted to hedge their bets here. So they're going to look for having, okay, if we need a coverage guy, who can we bring in? And I think that's really what the move for TEDDYE Buchanan is, at least early in his career. Obviously he can develop, he can get better against the run, all that good stuff, but let's get into the tape so you guys know what to expect. Start a TEDDYE Buchanan film breakdown, I think it's most important to start with his pass coverage, because that is what I think one of his true upsides is at the next level. So we're going to take a look at some clips where we get to see him in coverage. And this one right here starts in coverage and then ends up in a bit of a pass rush. But I thought it really showed his explosive athleticism. So he's going to be up in across from the A-gap, mugging the A-gap. The Cal defense is going to drop into basically a red 2 defense. So you get the drops there, and then the linebackers forming that line across the goal line, and basically they get a really nice coverage drop where you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 in coverage. So as they drop, quarterback just has no options here, so he's going to start to scramble, and look at Buchanan blow it up, and almost an interception. So just love seeing this, dropping from the mug. So he's going to start from the mug, drop into his hook zone right here. As the QB scrambles, he's going to take off. So you can see it right there, all in one fluid movement. There comes the scramble, and there goes Buchanan without hesitation. Gets a hit as he's throwing the ball and almost a pick. So I've noticed that a few times. He has a knack for making big plays. It's that explosive athleticism that can be a big difference maker. Here we're going to see a nice screen play. So he's actually going to be aligned on the edge quite a bit this year, and he's just going to plant his inside hand here, lower back of the offensive lineman who's coming out to be a puller. You can see right here, if he gets drawn up into this, they have a nice little numbers game. You got a one-on-one here, this lineman pulling for the DB, and then there'd be a pretty solid setup there, but you can see Buchanan is the difference maker there. So just good read recognition as a coverage player here, gets out there, makes a sure tackle, knocks the ball out. So again, a guy that just has a knack for making a play. Starts off as just a simple screen. He comes out, you can see right here as the arm's going to come through. The ball's right in this hand of the receiver. This outside hand is going to punch right through. Right there. Knock that ball out. And it's a recovery, but again, forced fumble. So just consistently making big plays. Notice that quite a bit with him. See right here, little man coverage on a running back. You can see how quick he gets out into that flat. I just find he's such a fluid mover. Nothing really crazy here. He's going to read the play action, follow the running back out, but just very, very smooth runner. Closes that distance, no problems. Just kind of what you want to see from some of these linebackers, especially coming out. It's going to be in the out here as an edge player. Sort of lined up on a receiver. See right here. Again, just kind of playing that running back coming out of the backfield. Something the Ravens, we've seen the Ravens have problems with, so it's good to see him doing it pretty solidly. Now here we're going to get another solid play. This is going to be similar to how he blew up that screen on the forced fumble. They got trips to the right here. You're going to get the motion here, and Buchanan's going to follow him out a little bit. There goes that swing pass. They set up the screens. Buchanan's in there. So just another explosive play. Doesn't look like he was in man coverage here because he doesn't follow him immediately. You can see him step there, but he drops back into his zone. So he's got his eyes out there, but he's dropping into his zone. So as soon as he sees that ball comes out, you can see right there, as soon as that ball comes out, he's going to explode and take a good pursuit angle. And there's that athleticism, right? Just sideline to sideline speed, something he does extremely well. He is going to follow the running back out here. Right off the chip, you're going to see him step up. So there's, Cal trusting him pretty often to do man coverage on running backs. I think that's something that you have to pay attention to. YouTube video here. Pretty rare that you'll see me watching broadcast, but some of these draft guys, you only have so much all-22, especially like Cal's not a small school, not like a group of 5 school or a Div 3, but not a big program in the ACC. So you're going to see him right here. I'll do my best to kind of point out where he is as we watch this on broadcast. Pretty rare on my channel to do this. Of course, the video froze. Let me pop this back up. We're at 57 seconds. Did you guys miss the glitches? That's what I want to know. Because that hasn't happened since I started doing these videos a little differently. Okay, we're back. So here we go. Force fumble into an interception. So he's going to just get out here in coverage right away. So he's going to, see right here, he's going to stop. The way he does this so consistently is something that I was just shocked about. He's going to be up here to the top. He's kind of aligned across from one of the receivers, but almost has like a blitz. Sorry for the skippiness. That's YouTube quality. So again, just, you know, similar to that first clip we watched where we almost had the interception. He's just breaking on that ball really quick. And I think if you think back to some of the plays the Ravens have had in the past where quarterbacks get into a scramble drill, I think having a linebacker that can come out of their coverage and get after the quarterback with that closing speed, I think that's something that the Ravens really want to have, and that's something that I think is popping to them. Pretty simple pickup here. They're just going to run a mesh concept. So what I like about this is you're going to get number 5, the receiver. He's just going to run a drag route, and you're going to see him intercept the route, get a little contact, and then pass it off to he is in zone coverage. And then when we get into run support, this is why nuance in film watching is so important, because if I said he's bad at run defense, I think it'd be dishonest. I think he has issues specifically playing against power on inside run concepts, and that's what we're going to see here, where, you know, you can see right here, Syracuse is lined up in heavy. If he's going to get an inside zone coming down where he has to walk up and be a thumper in, you know, the A gap, the B gap, and take on blocks and deconstruct, I think he really struggles to do that. He's at his best as a run defender, as a guy that moves really well. So outside concepts, I find he closes on really well. He's able to outplay the offensive lineman or the blocking scheme's leverage by using his speed and his IQ, but he doesn't do it so well when he has to deconstruct blocks and play with power. So is he a bad run defender? I would say he's inconsistent. I think he struggles against those concepts, and we're going to see exactly that, but we're also going to see plenty of concepts where he does do well, where he's using his speed. And it does remind me a lot of Patrick Queen early in his career, where, you know, when they ran the ball down at his face, he would struggle, but when he was able to play with his speed and his high IQ, and the way Mike McDonald schemed him and Roquan just by having them flying around and, you know, shooting gaps and using a one gap scheme rather than, you know, two gap, pop, shed, read, all that good stuff. So we'll kind of see some of these clips here. So the linebackers are actually going to come down. This is going to be just an inside zone concept. And so he's going to get 88 up there coming down on him. So this is just, again, taking on a tight end right here. This is the matchup we're watching. And you see him just kind of get knocked back there, right? Back on his butt. So this is just happening and that's against a tight end. So here you're going to get a concept against, this is Auburn. So you're going to get the two guards here, and you're going to get both tight ends on both sides with insert blocks. And downhill style, right? It's a completely different type of ass. That's where, you know, Malik Harrison was solid at being a thumper coming downhill, playing with violence and playing with good functional strength. And I think that's where Teddy Buchanan needs to improve, is, you know, coming downhill, playing physically, and playing with a high level of functional strength. You're going to get another tight end insert. So these last 3 plays, these are against blocking the tight ends in the block a couple yards. So this is against tight ends. Here, I struggled with this play. I'll be interested to get your guys' opinion. So this is going to be a touchdown run for Pitt, and you're going to get 58 here, who's aligned as a 4-eye technique, right? So he's aligned just inside. His foot here is aligned with the center of the body of the tackle, and then you got Buchanan here. And so I can't tell the way, because he's going to step up, and he's going to play as if he's playing this B gap. Run's going to come through the C gap here, and Buchanan plays this as if this 58, the base D end, should be playing this outside. So you're going to see it right here, but he's going to work himself way too far up into the gap. You see 98, he's going to work himself back to the inside. So he's going to snatch the guard. You see him work right up there, heads on the inside, and then he's going to pull him down and take that B gap, but Buchanan fills the B gap. So him and the defensive lineman, they both are in the B gap. Nobody's in the C gap. Tackle kicks out the DB player here, and he's just going to take this to the house right through there. So again, I'm not sure if that was the defensive lineman. Buchanan steps up in that B gap pretty confidently, but nonetheless, not good in another inside zone. Or not inside zone, sorry, inside concept where we're seeing him struggle. It's becoming a bit of a pattern. See the tight end get on him there. He ends up making the tackle, but he's making the tackle 8 yards downfield. So just consistently on these inside runs concepts, struggling a little bit. See him right there. Tight end ends up on him, pushes him back. The thing that bothers me is a lot of these are coming against the tight ends. See him right there, get sealed by 18 coming in. So this is an inside zone to the right, and running back's just going to cut off right here off the tight end and the tackle. So 18 is going to work up there, seal that. Running back cuts back right inside Buchanan right there. So just, tight ends coming up, sealing those shoulders is not something I want to see too often. Pulling linemen coming around. So this is just going to be a power run. You're going to get the right guard here pulling. It's going to get right up there, that outside shoulder of Buchanan as he comes downhill. Comes downhill hard, but gets sealed. Just something I don't want to see consistently at the next level. Okay, so now we're going to get to what I was talking about of why, the clips I just showed you, if we were watching this without any commentary, you would rightfully be thinking this guy's not good in run defense, and I wouldn't blame you guys for that. I mean, those are not good plays, but again, I find all of those are pretty much inside run concepts where he has to come down and thump, and I just don't think that's where he's at his strength. Now, where he is at his strength is working laterally, and so here you're going to get a sweep. So you're going to get two pulling linemen, handoff here. The tight end pulls. So the guard and the tight end pull based on who's covered, who's uncovered. And so what you're going to see from Buchanan, and he's going to work from the weak side, right? So the run's going to the offense's right over to this side, and he's going to work from the weak side all the way across, or the back side of the play. You can see right there, he's going to work across the face. So you're going to get the right. They're going to double here between the right guard and the right tackle. He's going to come off. Right guard's going to overtake the defensive lineman, and he's going to work up and try and pick up this backside linebacker as he comes across right there. And so this is a concept I'd normally be concerned about, right? Offensive lineman stepping up, but Buchanan's speed and his read works right around him into the gap, gets the tackle from the backside too. So that's the type of thing I'm talking about, where he can use his athleticism to his advantage by working across the face of blockers, by positioning himself in key areas where he's not going to lose those leverage battles, and I find he does that quite well. Here we're going to get it again. See him right there. Goes unblocked, and just good read and react. As soon as he sees that running back start to break out, go up there, and a very sure tackler. That's one thing I should have been talking about more throughout these videos, or throughout this breakdown. Very sure tackler. Haven't had really any concerns with his tackling abilities. When he gets to the ball, he's making tackles, and he's making them well. I think he's going to be a hell of a special teamer, to be completely honest with you. I know that guy doesn't really blow your guys' skirts up, but here we're going to flow again. See, and this is what I mean. So when I say he's going to work away from the lineman's leverage, so 77 and 74 are going to work a double team on the defensive lineman, right? This is a duo concept. So you got the double on this side, double on this side. 74 wants to overtake to get 77 into the second level. And as the defensive lineman fights through, 74 is going to be the one to reach. And so what he does is he's going to contact here, keep a full body, not even a half body. So you're gonna see his hand shoot out here to stave off this block while keeping his body over here. This is where he's creating leverage in the run game. See where he's going to be able to escape here? The lineman has no landmark to be able to get him into a drive block scenario. So he's going to just position himself well, step up, bounce off that, and then he's able to fill, get in there on the tackle, and rip the ball out. How many times has he done that now? I think we had 3 forced fumbles through this breakdown. I watched 4 games. Absurd stuff. I don't even know how many forced fumbles he had on the year. I'll have to put that in the intro. But yeah, no, it's something that you see pretty consistently. See right here, again, see him work around those leverage points. So we're going to get another double team. Looks like, got that tackle pulling though. No, it doesn't matter. You're going to get 2 double teams, defensive lineman there. He's going to work himself around. And again, there's that body getting inside that block, away from that offensive lineman. He's able to come off it, and then he's in there for the tackle. So again, that's what I mean by working away from the lineman's leverage. If he positions his body to the ball side, where his head is across, so if the ball is coming out to the left, if he positions his body as he's taking on a blocker over on this side, then he's able to just deconstruct that block much quicker. Whereas if his head's on this side, then he has to work through the block and work through the leverage points that offensive lineman has. So that's why I think it's hard to say he's just a bad run defender. He's bad in power situations. He's very good in finesse situations. You see him step up there, and here's where we see him play with some decisiveness. He just knocked that pulling guard, so the left guard here, they're just going to go power. Down blocks from the right side of the line. Left guard's going to pull around. He's going to step up right there. Look at knock him on his ass and then make the tackle. So again, he just isn't doing this consistently. He needs to work downhill with more violence on these inside run concepts. There you go, him working outside, getting after that, knocking the ball out. Right there. So again, when I say out positioning the leverage, so they're going to go outside zone, right? So you're going to get everybody trying to scoop step. You're getting an overlapping block here, and you're going to see, obviously, the ball is going outside, so it's aiming outside of the tackle, and he's just going to work around these blocks and out in space, and he does a nice job of being the edge setter here. So you have a base D end on his side. Video just froze again, didn't it? It did. 324, 324, 324, 324, 324, 324. That's just because I stop and start the video so often. Okay, work up. Okay. So again, you have a base D end here who's going to get swallowed by this. So he's actually going to step up, and instead of scoop stepping and trying to hand him off to the right guard, he's going to step up and let the right guard overlap him. So now, as soon as this run concept starts, as that right guard who's overlapping gets out there, there's no edge setter here. And Buchanan steps up and becomes that edge setter right there. You see one have to cut back. So just, again, that explosive athleticism, the way he outflows leverage, I think is a very, very positive. Keeps himself clean here, flies to the ball. He's a heat-seeking missile, and you're going to see it in the pass rush game too, which I called pass rush playmaking. I could have included some of those forced fumbles and that in here, but, I mean, you've seen it throughout. He has a knack for making plays. Sure tackler. When he gets to the quarterback, he's making plays. You're going to see him mug the A-gap here. Another sack. See him right there. Come in delayed. Work it through. Nice quarterback hit that causes an interception. That actually there's a flag. I don't know if you can see the flag. That actually came back right there, the flag. There was a pass interference call. But this quarterback hit and that late pressure, you can see him delayed, run it delayed right there through. That causes that. So obviously there's a flag. But again, that type of pressure, that ability, that blitz ability, we know the Ravens love that. And we know the Ravens have been looking to replace that blitz ability that Patrick Queen had. See it again here. We get into the pit game. See him come right up the middle. See the first linebacker misses a sack. TEDDYE Buchanan doesn't. Right there, cleans it up. So multiple sacks, multiple forced fumbles. Playmaker. Let's go wrap it up. So there you have it, folks. I mean, a lot to look forward to here. I think what the Ravens were really looking for in this pick was getting back to an explosive athlete at the linebacker position that they lost in Patrick Queen. Now, I'm not comparing him to Patrick Queen. Completely different prospects in terms of skill level. There's a reason one went first round, one went fourth. But in terms of the skill set they want to add into their defensive framework, I think you can see what they're looking for with TEDDYE Buchanan, because that explosive athleticism, that knack for the football are all things that the Ravens value. I see him being able to make an immediate impact because I do think he's going to be a core special teams guy as he's going through those kind of early years until he carves out a role on defense. But being able to step in, I think, sooner rather than later into pass coverage situations, I think is going to be a very big positive for him. I think, you know, third and long, those situations, even second and long, where if it's a run, probably not going to be an inside run. I think those are going to be advantageous positions to get him on the field early in his career. It's all going to be about how he can play between the tackles and run defense physically. So we'll have to see how that develops. That's where my eye is going to be as we get into preseason games, because we're going to find out really quickly. It's one of those things where some of it can be a play speed processing issue where, once it starts to click, it had nothing to do with physicality and aggressiveness, because it's not necessarily that I think he's soft. I wouldn't say that. But some guys just want that smoke, and I'm not 100% sure if TEDDYE Buchanan is that guy. So that's what I'm going to be looking for early and often. You guys know I prioritize physicality when I take a look at these guys. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Hit that like button, hit subscribe if this is your first time here. Big thanks to Jimmy's. And, we talked about the OAR concert coming up at the Tailgate, but also reminder, 3 flavors of Jimmy's chips out there. Boardwalk crab dip, Luke's blend. I'd be going after that crab dip real quick, tell you that much. So big thank you to Jimmy's for sponsoring this on the Russell Street Report. As always, be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Peace out, everyone.